we're just going to have a short conversation around the tools that you can use to build a great CV. And CVs are important because essentially most of the time that is what is getting your foot in the door. That's what's speaking for you before you get to utter a word. So it's very important that you get that bit of things right, because all of it really starts from there. So this workshop is going to be as interactive as possible, and we are going to cover the simple things, document labeling, document content, what should be in and what shouldn't be in, and document formatting. So very simple things that you can now apply as is fit for you in your own context or situation. We're also going to look at tools that can help you achieve good results. You don't to land at the point of a great CV, you don't need to, you don't need to do just exercise only exertion. There are a lot of tools that can help you to achieve good results, that can help you optimize for creating a very good CV without as much exertion as you just doing it by yourself from scratch or manually. So we'll also look at the tools that can help you do that, and then we would attempt to practice the things that we have learned or the things that we go through and just put it to work and actually see it come to life. And we hope that we can land at a very good point. And I'm also happy to announce that we will be sharing a free resource at the end of this, or in the course of this workshop. It's a CV workbook. We're going to use it also in the course of this workshop, and you get to keep that as well and use it sort of as a checklist for when you are creating or even updating along the line as you grow in your career and life, updating your CV. You get to keep that document just as a guide for when you are creating a CV. Are we good? I would like to hear that you are hearing me and you are engaging. So let me know
yes,
if you have any issues. All right, thank you very much. So we will start with the workbook right away. Okay, please confirm that you can see my screen. Kindly confirm that you can see my screen. You can leave a message or just unmute and say, yes, I can see your screen. Hello.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yes, we can see.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, so here's the workbook. Maybe I should try zooming. Or can we see clearly? Can we see the workbook clearly?
No, we can't.
Okay.
No.
Let me. How about now?
It's better.
All right. Okay, so we will start off with so there are three things. Well, we'll start off with building blocks. Essentially, like I said, we will explore tools that can help with getting the job done quicker and, achieving a better result. So in this workbook, we have a couple of templates or a bank of templates or platforms where you can source CV templates. And Those are important because when you start from that, you are not building a lot from scratch. Most of what you are doing is just filling in your own information, filling in what is relevant, depending on the application that you're making, depending on the role that you're applying for, and depending on the company or the institution as well that you're applying to. So we have, I would show us through one of these platforms. When you have the workbook, you can check through the others just so we can see what that is like. Some of them are paid, some of them are free, and some of them you get to pick which ones work best for you. So depending on how you're feeling, how rich you are, how much you want the job, you get to make that decision. So here are a couple of templates, and the idea is that once you pick up on any of the templates, you just start to change the information. My apologies, I think that's my internet. But you just start to change the information as it relates to you. All right, can we still hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. So that's it with templates. I just showed us one platform called Zeti, but there are others. Even your regular Google Workspace has a couple of resume templates that you can explore. And again, like I said, the idea with these templates is that, especially with regards to things like formatting, they are already set, and most of what you have to do, all you have to do is fill in your information, and you're mostly good to go. All right, is that clear? Okay. Next, we'll move to tools for generating content. And I would refer here to AI tools. I'm sure that AI is something that a lot of us have heard, repeatedly, especially in the last 6 months or since the beginning of this year. ChatGPT, Bard, what's the other one? Bing AI, the popular ones, and many other AI tools that you can use to just generate content and prompt the tools to generate the kind of content you want. And why this is helpful is because sometimes you just feel, I guess, stuck in how to articulate what it is that you are trying to express. Let's say you're trying to describe a role or something that you achieved in a previous role, or some experience that you have that you want to document in your CV. AI tools are really helpful in that regard. So we'll do a quick demo of that now, just to have a real feel. Hello, everyone. Please confirm that you can still hear me. Just leave a message like we've been doing. All right. Can you see my screen now? Okay. So I'd like somebody from the participants that we have around to just give us a makeshift role to try and build a portion of the CV of. So somebody suggest a role for us to create an application or a resume for, so that we can just demonstrate the prompting AI tools for. Okay, I see Inyang has raised her hand. All right, please, Inyang, let's hear you.
Oh, I was going to say product manager, but EABA has said marketing associate, so we can go with marketing associate.
All right, great. So again, if you remember from primary school or whenever you start to learn about computers, there's something they used to say: garbage in, garbage out, and that's pretty much the story with most AI tools. And the quality of your prompting, a lot of times, will determine the kind of outputs or the kind of results that you're going to get. So for marketing associates, for instance, we can just start off with creating a first draft. Again, okay, when we attempt that, I would say some things that are important to note as well. Okay, so I've just created a prompt here. Please confirm that you can still hear me. All right, thank you. So I just created this prompt to create a one-page resume for an entry-level marketing associate role, and to include. So I've also prompted what's the AI tool should take note of, and the skills it should include and all that. I can go ahead and prompt it further, but this is just an example and to get you started with putting the content in your resume together. So let's watch and see what comes of this. So it's just going on and on and on. Right, so we have a lot of content here. I feel like it's important to state this, but you don't necessarily have to just copy everything that's here without context or without taking cognizance of what is applicable to you and what isn't. Also, I think at this point it's important to say that it is very important. It is very, very, very essential that you are honest and truthful in your resume. Do not misrepresent yourself. because at the end of the day, there's imposter syndrome, and there are real imposters, and you don't want to, toe that line. So take what it is that you find relevant, you can copy what is useful to you and paste it in your documents, and begin to edit, take out what is relevant, and just start to work your way up from there. All right. So after you have created all that content and taken out what is not relevant to you and added what is relevant to you, you can also do well to make use of editing and proofreading tools like Grammarly or Quillbot. You may have seen when I shared my screen while we were using the ChatGPT, when I was entering the prompt, those suggestions. So this is Grammarly. You can check it out, grammarly.com. It's a free plugin, or at least it has a free mode that you can use to just proofread the content of your CV or your resume, because what you don't want is for grammatical errors and for technical errors, wrongly placed commas, wrongly placed punctuation marks to be, all over the place in your CV. Are we good? All right. Thank you, David. I see your thumbs up. All right. So now to our checklist. And this checklist is probably the most important part of this workbook, because that way you can ascertain what you have or don't have in your resume, and you can go fix that. And by the time you are done with the checklist, the idea is that you have covered most of the important grounds. There might be other things that are, peculiar to the kind of organization you're applying to, the role that you are applying to, or any specific requirements for your resume for the application that you're using it for. But with this checklist, you should have on a very healthy point on the scale covered all of the relevant portions. So the first thing is, around the organization, or these are pitfalls that you need to watch out for. Random organization. I would pull out a sample CV now for us to just look at some of these pitfalls. But the first thing is random organization. It's important that the items on your CV are properly labeled and spaced and numbered. Just to give whoever is taking a look at it a very clear idea of who they are hiring or who they are considering hiring. Remember, I said earlier that your CV, gets to speak before you speak at all. So it's important that those types of things are taken care of very well. The next thing is fonts and font sizes. So most of these pitfalls are formatting pitfalls, using multiple fonts, multiple colors, and multiple sizes. So it's advisable that at most you don't have more than 2 different colors on your resume. It's not the most visually appealing thing when there's, say, your heading is in red, then your name is in green, and then maybe because you want to highlight the things that you achieved at your previous roles, you now have those in, say, yellow, and then all the other text is in black. That's 4 different colors on a white background. That is a lot going on at the same time. So like I said, we will share this workbook. There's a resource here on the best fonts for different types of resumes, for different types of roles. You can look that up while after we're done, and hopefully you are able to find what should work for you. The next pitfall is similar to the first one I mentioned, but using different types of bullet points. So if you start out using, dots, those black dots, you should be consistent with it throughout your CV. You don't want to start out with that and then along the line you're having ticks or the hyphens or the sense in the kind of bullet points that you use. In fact, it's important. It's advised that you just use the think box or the round circle, not the ticks or check boxes. Then customization versus lies or fallacy. That's another pitfall that I already referred to that when we were using the AI tool. But it's important that first of all, what you're aiming for is to customize the experience that you have, the skills that you have, to tailor it as best as possible to the role that you are applying for. So if, for instance, you have experience with taking down minutes in a meeting, you have experience with putting together presentations, and you're applying for a role that has to do with being an assistant, or a role where you will have to use those kinds of skills. You want those to be at the forefront of your resume, and you want your achievements in that role to be very loud in the resume. So it's important that you tailor your resume according to the role. However, in doing that, it's also important, like I said, to be truthful. You don't want to misrepresent yourself. You don't want to be the real case of what I ordered versus what I got. So it's very important that your resume is a good enough representation of you. And that's why it's important to learn how to put together a good resume, because from seeing a good resume, you can tell, from seeing the format of the documents, if a document is badly formatted, if a CV is badly formatted, it's a safe assumption to make that when this person is hired, when they put out documents, the documents are also going to be badly formatted or badly written and all of that. Then grammar and organization. Again, that's where AI tools like Grammarly, Googlebots, all those proofreading tools can be very helpful. So they can be very helpful, but it's also important to still proofread along with them, because sometimes they don't take cognizance of the context of what you're trying to say. So sometimes they would interpret some things wrongly. However, most of the times, especially with things like spelling, punctuation, you can 99% guarantee or trust that their recommendations are correct. Then with punctuations, if you start out with putting full stops at the end of each sentence, you also want to be consistent with that also. It's very disorganized or very tacky when you start out with full stops and then maybe the next sentence after your previous sentence had a full stop, the next one doesn't have any, and then the one after that has a full stop. That's not it won't look very pretty, and it won't be the most appealing to whoever it is that's getting to look at your resume. Now, this is a very important thing, and the different times I've had the opportunity of looking at a couple of CVs, this is something that always stands out. In fact, I would say this is, in terms of getting your foot in the door, this is where it starts, because that's what they will see before they even open the document, and it's your document naming or the labeling of your document. So you want to, first of all, include your full name and then CV, and then maybe the month and year that CV was relevant, because as years go by, you constantly update your CV as you progress in your career, and then the role that you're applying for. don't make the mistake of, after you correct a document, for instance, maybe you are editing it on an online platform and you download it, and then you download another one. So your CV now says, for instance, David Ohimai's CV 2 in brackets 1 edited. That doesn't look very professional, or that doesn't look very decent. So you want to always make sure that your document is properly named and properly labeled for, before submission and before you send it in for review or consideration. Then is also where, you do creative work. So maybe you are a graphic designer, you are a tech bro, you are a programmer, a software engineer, you're a UI designer, you're a data analyst even. It's important that you include your portfolio or like a reference point to the work that you've done in the past in your CV, so that you don't want your employers shouldn't have to be, or your prospective employers shouldn't have to be looking for, okay, now we've seen all this story, we want to see your actual work. So wherever it is that your portfolio is hosted, you want to include a hyperlink to such a place. If it's in a Google Drive, for example, it is very important, very, very important that you give access to the people that view the CV, give them access to that drive beforehand. You don't want your prospective employer to have liked your CV, you've named this properly, you've formatted the documents well. Now you've even included the link, and now they want to, say, okay, let's consider this person. And then they don't have access. So that thing, that Google Docs thing, request access. And maybe unfortunately, you're not able to grant that request on time. So 2 days pass, and you're wondering why this prospective employer hasn't reached out to you. Meanwhile, you're the one that's locked your portfolio, and they can't see what it is that they're trying to hire. So that's something that you must be very, very mindful of. Make sure that the link to your portfolio or the link to whatever it is that you do that you're trying to showcase is accessible to anybody that has access to that CV. And lastly, as a general rule, right, this is subject to the request of whatever the application that you're making requires. As a general rule, it is tidier to save your CV document as a PDF. However, the application can require, you to send it in docs, in Word formats, or whatever format. However, as a general rule, it is tidier and it's usually more presentable when your CV is saved and sent in as a PDF. So those are the major pitfalls that we have noted in this workbook. Again, when you're reviewing your own CV, or when you're trying to build up your own CV after this workshop, or even during this workshop, these are things that you need to take note of. All right, are we clear on all of these? You can let me know in the chat box if you're clear, if these things make sense, and if you have gotten some clarity on what to do when you are trying to start out building your CV from scratch, or even okay, so like I said, it's not a rule for you to save your. I've seen the question. I'm not sure who asked, but it's not a rule. It's not a mandatory rule to save your. However, it's usually tidier. PDF documents, first of all, you can view them on almost any device, any smart device. You won't always PDF documents are. I can't remember the full meaning of PDF, but it describes. The word basically describes the fact that PDFs are just very easy access, and that's why PDFs are recommended. However, like I said, depending on the platform you're uploading your CV on, the application of the application model that is required by your prospective employers, or whatever, or even maybe conditions or situations of what is possible or what's available to you, you can always adjust or adapt to the situation on ground. However, it's advisable that your CV is saved in PDF format. I hope that answers your. All right, so we would do a short demo. We would look through a sample CV, and together we would sort of correct the errors that we find. And using this checklist, you alongside would point out the things that are wrong, and then we will correct them so that you can go and practice them on your own after the workshop is over. Is that fine? All right. I will pull that up now so that we can get to it. Please confirm that you can see my screen. Please confirm that you can see my screen. All right, thank you. Okay, so we can all see the name of these documents. We haven't even gotten to the format, but can anyone point out what is wrong with this CV? Just leave the answer in the chat if you can point out already what is wrong, so that we can correct that, or we start from correcting that. Right, thank you, EAB. The name format is wrong. So can someone type in the correct, just type in the correct format so that we would just copy and paste it in here, and let's do this together. One of the things that we said we're going to do is practice. So let someone leave the correct name of the document, or how the document should be correctly labeled based off what we shared earlier. Leave that in the chat box. I'm waiting. I didn't assume that it would take that long. Just drop in the chat box the correct name format of what this document should be. Okay. You can just put first person to answer. Just use your name, assuming this was your CV, and just put the proper name format. Okay, you just drop your name. That's not complete. the name formats that we shared from the workshop, from the workbook, rather. Okay, thank you, Temiloluwa. So we will correct that first. Right, so so we have the name format correctly done. Next thing is I'm going to pull up our workbook, or I'll have the workbook sent to us so that we can follow along the checklist in the workbook and just see what's next to correct and how to fix that. Please, Abby, can you send the workbook to the chat room now so that everyone can have access to it? Thank you. The workbook should be sent to the chat room now, so everyone has access to it and we can get to what is next. So yeah, Abby has sent the workbook to the chat room, so just download it and follow the checklist and let's get going. All right, if you've downloaded the workbook, or if you have the workbook, just signify in the chat room so that we can move from there. All right, so from the workbook, what's the first thing that we want to correct? That we will correct on this resume, on this CV. The numbering or the organization. First of all, the spacing isn't uniform. The spacing isn't uniform. The text isn't justified. And the work experience, okay, the work experience is arranged in chronological order, but we can justify the text, we can space it out properly, and then we'll leave the arrangements as it is. So let me. Okay, so since we started with Temilolo Aino, we'll just put her name. And then underneath that, your email address and phone number, your residential address. We can just put the city that you're in. Please confirm that you can still hear me.
Hi, Marwa, we can hear you.
Okay, hello everyone. So Temiloloa, your email address and phone number and the city where you live. Because we started with your name. Or is there anybody else that would like to volunteer?
I think you can use a random phone number.
All right. All right, so after the naming, the next thing is the numbering or the arrangements of the items on the resume. So usually what is here is called a professional summary, and it's basically a summary of, or a succinct summary of everything that is detailed in the CV. So if you are a software engineer, for instance, it will be something brief like software engineer proficient in so and so tool. So again, one of the things that the generative tools help with, you could just copy the information in this document and go to ChatGPT, for instance, and say, write a professional summary for the resume contents below, and it will generate that for you. So after you have filled out the professional summary, let me after you filled out the professional summary, the next thing will be the numbering of the experience and all of that. Work experience. So like I said, don't use more than 2 colors. So if your professional summary and work experience are the same color, yeah, you can now decide that the years of working or the years of performing that particular role can be a different color, just to highlight the timelines. So I will make this bigger. And then what I've done here, I will just replicate across all the other rows down to the end. So I mean, we don't have enough time to go through everything in this particular resume. But from here, you can see, so professionals for the professional summary, after you copy the content or copy the content in the resume, you can just ask or prompt the AI to generate a summary. You can give it a specific number of words, not more than 25 words, summarizing all the experience in this resume. And you will fill this portion out. Next thing on the checklist is, okay, we already addressed the bullet points. So avoid using ticks or hyphens. Just stick to these think boxes or the round dotted circles. And then for customization, that would depend on the role. So if the role, let's say this role were a customer service role, it's appropriate that this kind of experience, if that's the last experience that you've had or that you have, comes foremost. And every other experience that you have or that you've had in the past that has relevance or that has any semblance with the role in question, we make sure that those are the things that are highlighted in the resume. Then grammar and organization. So for grammar and organization, you can do the same thing that I said with the AI tools. You can use the AI tools as well for checking the grammar. You just need to prompt it to do that, or you can use those tools, the Grammarlys, the Quillbots, those tools that we showed in the workbook earlier, to correct grammatic errors or technical errors, punctuation errors, and what have you. And then we already fixed the document naming. Then to save as PDF, I'm not sure if I can show how to get that done right here. Just if you are using a Microsoft Word, usually if you are working from Google Docs, when you are downloading the file, it will give you the option of what formats to download the file in. So for Microsoft Word, you see here, save as type, and I can just choose PDF here and save the document as a PDF. Right, this is the document as a PDF. So like I mentioned, usually PDFs are easily accessible on pretty much any device, and it's usually just tidier to save your documents in PDF. And then for creatives, like I said, at the end of your resume, you can now create a link, create a hyperlink. If you don't know how to create a hyperlink, you need to be on the lookout for when we release our resources on use of digital tools for word formatting tools. But I'm sure that's something that you can look up. Always ensure that you create a hyperlink or a link to showcase the work that you have done in the past, and make sure that that link is accessible and viewable by whoever has access, or whoever is viewing the resume. Please confirm that you can still hear me. It seems like there is a break on my end. All right, thank you. Okay. So when you have finally crossed all those T's and I's and checklist and crossed all those things on the checklist off, the next thing to do is optimization of your CV. And in the workbook, I hope we've seen the correct workbook document now. In the workbook, there are a few platforms that, what those platforms will do for you is they will help you check and assess just how well done or well put together your CV is, and the kind of roles that you can be eligible for with the content and formatting of your CV. One of them is job scan, there's top resume worded, and all of that. So what these CV platforms do for you is that they will help you, depending on the kind of role that you're applying for, they will help you select, or they will help you rather tailor your resume properly, reward the things that need to be rewarded, rearrange the experience in a way that is favorable for the role that you're applying for. And it's advisable that, just for two-factor authentication and for safety, use at least 2 of these tools just to make sure that you've covered all ground and all bases, and that your resume is top notch for whichever role it is that you're applying for. That brings us to the end of this session. You would have access to the workbook after this, so that you can by yourself go and practice these tips that we have shared and check them. And by the time you check that, number 1, you have formatted the documents properly, you have organized the documents properly. Number 2, your font sizes and font color are in order. You're not using more than 2 different types of fonts and 2 different sizes, and your bullet points are well arranged. Your document is justified, and you have tailored your resume according to the expectations or the demands of the role you're applying for. You have used a proofreading tool to check for grammatic errors. You have named your document properly, and you have included your portfolio and granted access to whoever it is that is able to view or that has access to view the documents. And you have saved this properly, preferably, again, like we said, preferably, but not as a rule, as a PDF. Then you should be good to go, or you should be good to now review it on the optimization platforms. You will see different examples on the workbook that we will share with you. Once you have done that, I think you are in a good place, or you are in a good starting point for any application, especially for entry level. Thank you very much for waiting or for joining and staying in tune with us so far. I hope that we have learned a thing or two that we can apply in building our resumes, either from scratch or updating for when you want to update your resume for your next dream role, or if you are looking to change industries even, and your previous CV doesn't reflect the skill sets that is required in the new role that you are applying to. I hope that you've learned a thing or two that you can apply, and I hope that you find that workbook very helpful.